Hello, everyone, and welcome to HashiCorp Live. We're getting into Consul, but unfortunately, you'll notice that I've had a replacement. I would say we've upgraded. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm
Oh,
kidding.
Cole. Cole, no, there's lots of love for you, Cole.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding. We have Eddie Rowe here today with us as a special guest. Cole was at KubeCon this week, so we are giving him a well-deserved break. You know what? I thought to myself, why not learn something that I have not done yet, and I should learn how to do, and that is autoconfig. Consul autoconfig. So
Dun,
magical.
dun, dun.
I know. I wish I had magical sparkle effects, but I don't have that. Anyway, if you haven't tuned in to Getting into Consul before, we have been streaming the past 5 episodes or so here on HashiCorp Live. And it's us, usually myself and Cole, learning about Consul from scratch. We do things the hard way, which means you will see us manually trying to configure things. Oftentimes, we'll accidentally destroy our cluster and sit there trying to recover it. Most of the time, we have 1 or 2 mistakes, and then we learn from some of the experts who, on occasion, pop into chat. If you would like to interact with us, we love that. Please, please, please join us in chat. We enjoy all of the feedback and the commentary. Last time we had a couple folks wrapping up projects, and we love to give those shout outs. So I'm going to post the code of conduct in the chat. Please keep in mind that as you do interact with us, be professional at all times. We have our full code of conduct in the link in chat. With that, I think we should recap what we did last time. Usually, Eddie, Cole and I do a dramatic recap. It's not very dramatic. So please excuse my non-dramatic recap of what happened last time. So last time on Getting into Consul, Part 5. Cole and I fixed some DNS that broke because we enabled access control lists, or ACLs, or ACLs, whatever you want to call them. Cole was surprised that we could mimic some kind of interesting behaviors using ACLs. He was really keen on learning a little bit more about policies, Consul policies for ACLs in particular. And so we explored that using Consul Key Value Store. And it was a shorter stream, but nevertheless, it was actually a pretty informative one. If you would like to check out our previous episodes, which are full of fun and entertainment, you can check out our playlist on YouTube. You can also check them out here on the Twitch channel. We have all of the recordings located under the Getting into Consul collection. Eddie, anything I should add, or any commentary you might have about ACLs in general?
No, I saw some of the previous episodes that you guys went through and was skimming through those, and it looks like this is like a great thing to talk about for this session, because you went over some of the Consul security model like ACLs, and did it the hard way. Like you went through like the difficult way of doing it, and I think it's like a great transition today to move into autoconfig. So I'm excited to talk about it and go through it together.
Yes, I am very excited as well. You mentioned the Consul security model. I have dropped that as a link in the chat, and if you're watching the playback, we'll be sure to add the link as part of this description. So that way you can check out exactly what we're referring to in the security model. Now, Eddie, I have a bit of a problem with the past couple of streams, right? And you alluded to this, but every time Cole and I want to spin up the Consul cluster, we have to do this really manual copy paste of ACL tokens. So anytime we have a new client, anytime we have a new service, for example, we have to, and basically anything that has to do with security, we have to copy the ACL tokens manually, push them into the clients somehow. We have to copy all the certificates and push them into clients. And it's painful, right? It's really difficult to automate. Cole had some problems trying to automate it a couple weeks ago. So, is there a solution to this problem? is there an easier way for me to be able to set up my console cluster in a secure way without needing to manually go in, copy everything, paste it into my client configurations, and manually restart everything?
Wow. Yes, there is. And it's with this really cool tool called autoconfig that is built into the platform itself. And I think you touched on like some of the difficulties of the manual processes before. Yeah, and here, it's a lot of like copying and pasting and doing these things. If you kind of scale out a little bit and think about some of these large organizations, they're doing the same thing, but they're using third-party tools. I think the majority of people before autoconfig was released were using things like Puppet or Ansible to automate some of these procedures. And that's just another maintenance. That's another tool, and that's another maintenance operation that has to be considered outside of the console ecosystem. So autoconfig is cool because it does a lot of those operations within console itself.
I have heard about this a few times, and that's what's been fascinating. I heard it a couple months ago, hadn't got around to checking it out. Heard it again another couple months, like even a few weeks ago, didn't get a full chance to explore it. You wrote the tutorial on it. So my hope today is that we will be able to add console autoconfig to our cluster, which is, a cluster is very loose, right? Our cluster is not the fanciest thing in the entire world. It's on AWS, and it's in virtual machines. So what's different from this versus the tutorial that you have the one in Docker Compose, which theoretically we should be able to mimic here, but we're doing this in AWS virtual machines, and we have one server. So highly available. One server, because I don't know if we're going to have to configure multiple things on autoconfig. So I'm just going to make it easy for us and just have one server for now. I hope that is okay.
Totally fine. Totally fine.
Okay.
You can have more than one server. I think one server is plenty enough to reduce any complexity here and illustrate the point without having to deal with Raft or authorizers across servers. So this is great. This is great.
Okay.
This will show off what we want to show off here.
Okay. And the other caveat to this is we had a discussion beforehand about whether or not we should use the certificates second, right? Was that what was in the tutorial? Something like that. What is the certificate, or not certificate, identity, right? Sorry. Who would help us with the identity problem, right? So specifically, I believe it's JOT issuance, because you do need JSON Web Tokens, JOTs, as part of this, right? And we are okay, good. So we got that, that's good. We have JOT, we need JOTs. And to expedite this process, I made it somewhat easier for myself by going to HashiCorp Cloud Platform and getting a Vault server. So, I know we could set up a Vault server. If this doesn't work 100%, we can set up a Vault server in dev mode. But quite frankly, I was like, I'm not going to sit and try to figure out how to set up a Vault server in dev mode.
Right. I love this because I have done a lot of this exercise in Docker Compose and with like a standalone Vault server before. I've never done it with HCP Vault before. So I want to see if we can do it now to see if it'll work.
Well, this is new for everyone, all right? So everyone, we're really sorry. There's going to be a couple pebcaks, maybe. I've reset the pebcac counter. For those who are not familiar with pebcaks, its problem exists between keyboard and share. We have a lot of them on this channel, and we do keep track of them. So we're going to see if this works. Hopefully it does, and we'll see if we can get autoconfig working on this cluster by the end of the stream.
I have faith. I'm feeling good about it. I feel pretty upbeat.
Me too. Although I'm not really sure. Last time, I did say security was going to take 2 streams, and well, Cole proved me wrong. We actually got it set up in 1.5 streams, which I'm surprised we actually did that successfully. So anyway, here we are. Okay, so we're going to get started. I'm going to add a link to the tutorial for autoconfig, and this is what we're going to be referencing today. Is there a way for me to reduce the sidebar? I don't believe so. Okay. All right, so Eddie, I'm assuming we don't need to clone the GitHub repository for this quite yet, right?
Nope,
We don't
nope,
need,
we
no,
don't.
okay.
We don't have to at this point. We can, since we have HCP and it's going to be a little different, we can
Okay.
reference some of the configuration files in there if we need to, but we may be able to stay right inside of this tutorial page.
Okay, cool. So I'm going to skip the Docker Compose part because I'm not so sure. Okay, so you do have 3 servers here. Wow. Okay. Should I have 3 servers or 1 server? I mean, I know we talked about this.
You know, like, I always add this asterisk because, when I write in the tutorials, I try and spin up 3 servers because the great thing about Consul is basically utilizing Raft, and to have this consensus between the 3 servers and have those in operation, that's a production ready environment. Having a single server is something that we like to stay away from just because it's not as highly available and you don't get the performance that you usually need in a large environment. But for the purposes of what we're doing here with autoconfig, it's completely fine to just stick with 1.
Okay. All right. The other thing is the Vault server. We did chat about this briefly. There's nothing particularly specific about the Vault server we're using. API address, Vault address, we'll see how that plays out. We don't have it in dev mode, but I do have a root token. Everybody, I'm going to try not to show it on the screen, so don't at me. We're going to try to be secure today. All right, so the first thing that first step we come to then is Consul server configuration. Can you explain a little bit of what is different about autoconfig in a server configuration than maybe, like, what am I adding here?
Absolutely, yeah. So I think in some of the previous streams, we talked about ACLs and gossip. And so in your configuration file here, you'll see the same thing. You'll have the ACL section set up, and that'll be configured, kind of as is in that block. That'll remain the exact same. But you'll have another section here right around that called autoconfig. And autoconfig can be set up in 2 different ways. On the server side, autoconfig is set up as an authorizer or an authorization service. And so in a Consul server config, you'll want that authorization service to be able to ingest and validate these specific JOTs, these JWTs that come in from the client. Okay. So there's different attributes you'll have here within the authorization service. Firstly, you'll set it to enabled, and then you'll set the static block. You'll set these different things. Here, basically in that static block on the authorizer piece, this is saying, it's basically a configuration saying, how do we authorize the requests that come in from the client? And so you can do this a number of ways. You can do it with PIM certificates that are hard-coded in here, that are public, like CA certificates or public certs that you put in there, or you can use JWKS, or you can use OIDC. So you have 3 real overarching methods for authorization. In this case, we're going to use OIDC, discovery URL, because Vault has an OIDC endpoint where we're going to be able to, when the JWT requests come in from the client, we'll be able to say, all right, go authorize them through Consul at this Vault endpoint, and it'll be able to check the JWT like kind of authorization around that and the certificates, and then if everything is cool, then it'll return. It'll allow the Consul client to join the cluster. But we'll see a little bit more about these details as we get into it, to know about what each of these does.
Okay, good to know. So let me go to my server configuration, and I am going to try to update it in such a way that this makes sense. We'll see how much of this comes in. Now, I know in this configuration, Eddie, you have a token that is this preset? Like, you are defining this specifically as this token?
Yes. Okay. Thanks for calling that out. This is this was set in this tutorial for the sake of simplicity. This is basically a master token, an agent token in Consul that these are ACL tokens that are just hard coded in a production environment that's live now, that's wants to rotate and start using autoconfig. Then this most likely won't be hard coded here. It'll be values that are generated from the API, and you'll be using those in some of the operations instead.
Okay, all right. So I don't have them hard coded. I generated a bootstrap token, which has a global management policy. And okay, so in this case, I don't need to change anything. I don't need to add anything necessarily, right?
Correct. Yeah, you don't have to add anything at this point. We can use that bootstrap token for all intents and purposes throughout this.
Okay, awesome. So here we go. I'm going to swap to code mode, and you'll have my terminal. All right, so as a preface to those who are just tuning in, we try to configure as much as we can with automation in mind. But we usually do this after or between streams. Just for the sake of learning and to solidify the right steps, we go in manually. We SSH manually. I know everybody sob, cry. We SSH manually into each machine and configure. So please keep that in mind. We are indeed manually doing this, and you will get the automation after this particular stream. Eddie, there's actually a question in chat for you.
Sure.
Are there rocks on display behind you?
Yes. So yeah, since I was a kid, I'll talk a little bit about these. I collected rocks and minerals since I was a kid. I was always into it, and I have a few of these display cases around here. So yeah, I have these little identification books, and I go through and try and figure out what's what in here. It's a ton of fun.
Very cool. Yes. Oh, we have a lot of folks who enjoy mineral collecting. There's some enthusiasm here.
I love it. Please paste your favorite minerals in the chat. I'm really curious what you all like.
Now we've found mutual interest. You also have more rocks. I know, they're not on screen, but you did briefly turn the camera. Yeah, there you go. And there are more rocks, and there are the plants there.
Lots of rocks in the garage too.
Oh, I didn't realize that. There we are. Very cool. Okay. So I pasted this JSON because I don't necessarily want to mess with this right now, but I'm going to add it and convert it to HCL. Hopefully I get the right HCL, HashiCorp Configuration Language syntax in place. But the first thing is there's an autoconfig section. I'm assuming that's the one place where I should start, right?
Yes.
And then there's autoconfig. Oh no, authorization.
Authorization.
Okay. This is where we need the HCL formatter here. Enabled true. Static. Oh, this is a big section. Here we are. You know, I could just run this through the HCL JSON formatter, I assume, right?
I'm enjoying watching it go down, to be honest, because I use JSON a lot, and yeah, I'm learning a little bit about nested objects in HCL right now.
Okay, so OIDC discovery URL. I'm gonna just fill these in later because there were some tricks to this, and I don't want to fill this in immediately, right? Because I think we have to set up Vault before we go through this particular section, correct?
Right, that's correct.
Okay, but the bound audience, is there something specific about the bound audiences that I can fill in now? Because I noticed there's console cluster DC1.
Yeah, you can fill console-cluster-DC1 now, because this is something that we can, as we're setting up the Vault component for this, that's going to generate and authorize the JWT, we can manually set that throughout the process.
Oh, okay, got it. So that has nothing, I mean, do you have any recommendations on why the bound audience has console-cluster and the DC in it, or is just something good to include the DC? The data center?
That's, yeah, no, it's funny you mentioned that. As I was reading about JWTs while going through the R&D for this tutorial, I was basically forwarded to the OpenID website, which is like the large foundation behind a lot of internet protocols, especially for authorization. And so reading about it, the AUD is meant to be the audience for what is going to be the validator, the authorizer for this.
Okay.
So you'll see a lot of different attributes come up in the JWTs when we start to break those down. And so let's say you have 5 console machines, console nodes as servers. Then you don't want to put individual servers there. You want to put the cluster itself, what the name of the cluster is, because that cluster, it's not going to be a single server in that cluster that authorizes it. It's the whole cluster.
Okay, cool. So that is what I have for now. I'm assuming claim mappings, console host name, node name is something we want to keep because we want the claim to map to the node name.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
And the claim
and we'll
assertions.
talk more about those a little bit later too.
Okay, got it. And the claim assertions. This is not something I need to fill in, right? This is an this interpolates somewhere, or.
Correct. Correct.
Okay. All right. So hopefully this is the right config in HCL. We'll see when I start it up. It might just say like, oh no. All right. So then what is next? Let me go back to browser. I think we kept encrypt. We kept incoming, outgoing server hostname and the CA files. But just in case, let me make sure. I'm sorry, everybody. We're swapping back and forth. But we have incoming, outgoing server hostname, encrypt, CA, cert, and key file. So that should all be there. The only thing that's not defined is the ACL tokens because it has already been bootstrapped.
Great. That is totally good. Something I do want to call out at this point is basically in this server configuration.
Yeah.
Can you open up it again, Rosemary,
Yeah.
just so we have a glance value at it? In this server configuration, you'll notice a lot of the same values that existed in some of the previous streams or in probably most configurations that are set up today. You'll see a few different parts of the security model here. You'll see the gossip encryption key. You'll see the 3 different cert files here, the CA file, the cert file, and the key file, and you'll see the ACL bit. For most operations today where you're doing this manually, you'll not just see those on the server, you'll also see those on the client side. By utilizing autoconfig and having your clients join with autoconfig, you can forget about the majority of those sections. You don't have to have encrypt and anything filled in there on your client configuration, or cert file or key file. You don't have to have those, and you don't have to have very many advanced ACL policies on there. So you'll see a much slimmer configuration now on the clients because a lot of that sits on the server.
I'm so happy. This is so annoying. Like literally, honestly, I spun this up 4 times and I was copying and pasting things around. I was like, we didn't manage to automate this correctly. So I was like, why is this not? Oh, okay, all right, we'll get to it.
No, I'm pumped too. And people, as I was learning about this, engineering was trying to convey to me like how cool this is.
Yeah.
As I'm writing this tutorial because they're the ones who designed this, and then it took me a while to grasp it, but I was like, this is going to make so much easier, as I build these data centers and tutorials out from now on, because like I don't have to think about client security nearly as much anymore. It's just all on the server side, so it's really simplifies the security operations.
Nice. Okay, so console clients now. Let's go to the console clients.
How do we do this?
Okay, so you know what I might do? Just to make it easier on myself, and that way everybody doesn't have to watch me type, the entire time. I am just going to create a new JSON file, and then we'll just copy or just move the we'll make a different extension for the original config.
We're a hybrid environment now.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll call this console.json. Okay. So here's the JSON file for the client itself. And a lot of this, oh dear.
Rosemary, are you showing your terminal right now?
Oh yeah, you're right. Good point.
I was visualizing the tutorial.
Yes.
Terminal.
Yes. Console.d. Thank you, everybody. This is I don't think I can open it side by side. I don't know if we're going to be able to do this. Okay. I can't open it side by side right now, so we're going to have to just do it this way. Okay, so Eddie, if you could tell me what I need to take out and what I need to put in.
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay,
So,
that would help because I don't have the second screen.
okay, all right, and I'm gonna make a little cheat sheet. I'm gonna open up mine too on my side so I can look.
Yay, perfect.
Okay, all right. So that retry join that you have set up there, you
Okay.
can take that out.
Oh, really?
That can go.
Oh, wow.
Now those values that are in there,
Yeah,
like those AWS values,
yeah.
I'm curious if we can move those in to the auto config section and use the auto discovery there. We could get really fancy there.
Oh, oh no.
Oh, it's gone now. It's gone. Okay.
Oh no, no, no. It's I mean we can put it back. Fortunately, we have version control, so we can put it back.
Okay. All right. Don't worry about it. Let's maybe just let's move our ambitions a little bit.
Okay. I'll
Uh,
do that. We'll hold it for a second.
okay. Let's hold it for a second, just because we might be able to get fancy.
Okay.
Okay. So encrypt, you can take that out of there.
Bye, encrypt.
Goodbye, encrypt. Okay. So you have these three, or you have verify incoming, verify outgoing here.
Mm-hmm.
For auto config to work, you need to make sure verify incoming is set to false.
Okay. Got it. So that allows the server to communicate to the client without necessarily verifying. Is that the idea?
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
All right. And then
Uh,
both stay the same. Now I noticed there's a ports configuration. Does the ports configuration matter because it's port HTTPS?
oh, I am so glad you mentioned that. It is very important to have that set up because we want to make sure that we turn on the connect port and the connect attributes on there.
Oh, so it needs to have connect in order for this to
Yes.
work.
Yes.
Oh,
exactly.
dang. Then we haven't even turned that on the server. Oops.
Oh, okay.
We haven't actually turned on connect yet. All right. For the
All
next
right.
one. For the next one, we are going to talk about service mesh, but I didn't realize the auto configs require service mesh.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, I'm
Okay.
glad.
Enabled true. Okay, so this is on the server. I am turning it on. Hopefully there's nothing else in here. There's no other ports that I need to open in here, right? For server specifically? No.
I'm double checking right now. No. No, no, no.
Okay. We may have to add a security group so that this works, but we're going to cross that bridge when we get there.
I like it.
Okay. All right, so that's that. And then let's talk. Okay, so back to the client. We'll return back to the client. The client has the port enabled now. Incoming false, outgoing server hostname true. I don't need the cert or key file, right?
The cert and key file can both go. Right. You
Okay.
can get rid of those.
Okay, cool.
And the reason for that is once a connection is established here with autoconfig, those cert files will be sent over that secure channel and put on the console client machine securely.
Okay, got it. And it looks like I don't need ACLs either.
ACLs are free to be deleted.
Oh my gosh, so exciting. This is the most exciting. Sorry. We're just
Yeah, no, it's like going to the gym, but for your console configuration file.
I don't know about that. I'm like
It's slim and fit, slim and fit.
you know what? It at least is less painful for me to sit here and paste it constantly. I literally spun this environment up 3 times in the past 2 days. And every time I was like, no, I don't want to copy and paste tokens because there was no good way to get the tokens in there. Okay, tokens jod. And then server. Okay, so this is where you're mentioning the retry join might work. Does it work in this?
That is a mystery to me. This is where you'd usually put your console servers. And so I built them, primarily in Docker and Docker Compose environments. So I just used, the local, I use Docker DNS and like the local names for those.
Yeah.
So I haven't tried using the retry join, like cloud discovery tags before. It could work. It could work.
Okay. You know what? I'm going to switch to, and I'm going to check the configs because now I'm just curious because I don't want to get into this and be like, it doesn't work. So autoconfig. Server addresses defaults to blank. I'm going to increase the size. Sorry, everybody. There we go.
Thank you.
One more. Okay. I'm looking at this. It does support cloud auto joining.
Does it? Yeah. That's
excellent.
Awesome.
Okay. Perfect. So we can copy and paste the config that we had for retry join.
I love it.
To it. All right. I'm just going to do this because I am. Boop. All right. I think we are at a place that is decent. I mean, I don't know if there's anything else we need, but we'll see how it goes.
Let's see. Let me just double check. Okay. Yeah, it looks good. You've got enabled intro token file, server addresses. That's nice.
Okay. Here we are. Now, if I accidentally pepcacked and I misspelled one of these parameters, well, we all know what happened here, okay? So we've done that before where we accidentally misspelled a file, and we spent like an hour debugging why DNS wasn't working, and then we realized we misspelled the file. So everything is fine.
Wow, that is fun. I love debugging.
No, it was good, but it was just not our favorite moment. Okay, all right, continuing onward. I'm not going to do this to the other client right now. There's two clients, Eddie. One is for API and one is for web. I'm not going to do it to the other client. I'm just going to do it to the one for now just to make sure it works.
Great. That sounds great. And don't forget that JWT, since we're not spinning up this environment in Docker Compose, it's not going to create that JWT file right off the bat. So you have to go manually create that file. And you can adjust the directory wherever that's going to be. Okay,
cool. That is good to know. Maybe I should adjust it so that it is not console config tokens. That's actually a good point.
Right, because yours, I think, lives under console.d.
Yeah, exactly. It's under console.d. So, and I don't want to load it. Maybe I could load it in here, though. Yeah, I guess I could load it in here. We put the certs in here anyway, so.
Yeah.
Well, why not? We can put it in there. Okay, so let me do etc console.d. And this is a config that I don't need to put on the server, though.
Correct.
Okay, etc. No, etc. I was like, why did I just put etcd? Okay, so can I put this, and theoretically it would just pick up the JOT. It wouldn't read it in as a console config.
Correct, yeah, totally fine.
Okay, so etc console.d jwt. Etc console.d. Okay. All right.
And then we can either create that file here now and just leave it blank, like do a touch, or we can come back and create it.
Good point, because then we're going to come back to this, and I will guarantee that I would have forgotten it. Okay. So just on this client, we're not going to do it onto the second client yet, but just on one of the clients specifically. Okay. Here we go. Back to this. Let's see. Now, I've created the console data center already.
Nice.
I have the UI. I have logged in as per my Bootstrap token. What else is this going to do? I already see my servers. Oh, no, I didn't restart this yet. Wait. It's not going to work, right? If I try to restart this, it won't work yet because I didn't fill in the OIDC discovery URL.
Correct. Okay. Yeah, we won't get a certain degree of failures yet, and we still need to do the vault piece too. Generate.
Just because console, I'm going to just double check that I didn't mistype it before we move on. Autoconfig authorizations has static invalid. Exactly one of JOT must be set for type. Did we not set something?
Where are you looking?
So it is. I'm running console validate to check if my configuration is correct, and it appears that it is complaining that a field is missing on.
From autoconfig.
Yes.
Let's take a look.
But it could be that I put something like not. I put a blank OIDC discovery URL. So let me just
yeah.
Let me just go here. Oops. Okay. I just want to check that it is good. Okay, perfect. So it does work. It was just blank. So keep in mind, if you are still trying to find your Vault server, it doesn't know what to do yet. We don't have a Vault server at this DNS address, which is why it's saying server misbehaving. So this is good. It means our configuration is valid. And
good.
Just to make sure, Consul, I will say I learned Consul Validate recently, and it has really helped. Okay, skipping file consul env, skipping consul.d jot, which is good. Which we want it to skip the jot file because it's not a configuration file, and the configuration is valid. So here we are. Okay. Oh,
I'm curious to say that I really don't use Consul Validate, and until you mentioned it, I didn't even really think about it. So now I'm going to be using it. I just restart the service. I restart the service, and I'm like, uh-oh, you know, or I run Consul Agent and look for failure messages. So thank you.
Yeah, I was like, you know what? I might as well use it because I'm not so sure about the valid config either. I was like,
that is a great thing.
you know, someone should tell me that I should have swapped it back to the terminal view so you could check out what was going on. But Consul Validate is the command, and Consul Validate will check your configuration file for you because I will always get the config wrong. And it looks like that if you set it to blank, if you set this static to a blank URL, it will just tell you, please set it. So if you add a URL in there, it will at least tell you whether or not the config is right or wrong, and it can't resolve to it. So that's that. Similarly, the client was just telling us it was skipping everything, and the config is valid. So that's good. Okay. Here we are. Okay. So the next thing we're going to do, I'm not going to swap to the browser view yet, is we're going to go to Vault, and we are going to enable something. So what do we need to set up in Vault for this to work?
Right. Yeah. So far, we have the Consul server set up with the authorization service. We have Consul clients that are ready to talk to the authorization service. However, the piece that we're missing right now is Vault acts as Vault does two things. It will generate JWTs or JOTs for an entity, and it also validates. It has an endpoint that validates those JWTs. So we're going to basically configure that in Vault to get that set up to make sure that works, and then we're going to generate JWTs and put those JWTs that are authorized on the client, on whatever that Consul client is, so we can set up that communication stream.
Perfect. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Vault. Sudo su. Okay. I am not in Vault. I am using HashiCorp Cloud Platform Vault. So you're not going to see, and it is a private endpoint, so you're not going to see the user interface for Vault. I am using the Bastion to access Vault. So sorry everybody, that's because I didn't set it. Okay. If you check out Vault status, it is pointing to the HCP Vault instance, which is not in this network. They are peered so that they have access to each other, but it is over private networking, so it's not available to everybody. Yes, so convenient. We're just going for it. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is, it says here that we need to I guess step one, do we need to enable the identity secrets engine, or it's enabled by default?
The identity secrets engine is enabled by default. It comes built in, and it's actually one of those engines that is critical to all Vault services. So you can't move it, and you can't remove it.
Okay, so here we are, identity. One thing to know about HCP Vault, if you haven't used it before, is that it uses namespace. It uses Vault namespaces to segment certain parts of the Vault API. So if you run Vault and you see this access forbidden error message, it's because you need to set the Vault namespace to admin. So here I am setting a Vault namespace to admin. So that way I can at least do Vault secrets list to list my secrets engine, and identity is listed by default.
Very cool. Today I learned.
We're learning Vault and Consul today, even though this is a Consul stream.
They do play pretty nicely together, so it's nice.
They do. Okay, so I'm going to write identity OIDC key. Is there a reason why there's OIDC key 1? Is there something special about that, or it doesn't really matter?
No, this is just creating a named key. And so there's a few prerequisites basically to get set up that we'll work through here to be able to generate JWTs. And this is one of them. And so what you'll see here as part of this step and prerequisites on the Vault side is you'll see this named key being created with allowed client IDs equal to console cluster DC1. And that may look familiar when we were setting up the authorization service on the server. So there's some links that we can send out that'll actually show you a little bit more details. And the tutorial has these details as well about which of these Vault parameters will end up becoming the AUD within the JWT token, which will become the issuer, which will become the subject. And you'll start to see some of those in this.
Cool. Okay. So what I'll do is I'll keep it at OIDC key 1. For those who are not as familiar with Vault, it's basically a path-based system where you can imagine it like an API path. So identity OIDC key 1 is literally an API path in Vault. And what I'm doing is I'm running a post command effectively. So I'm running an API post to create my key. So I am going to click the enter button. Okay, so data has been written to identity OIDC key. That is good. Should I read it? Will it let me read it?
It won't let you read it if you're the root login.
Yay, okay. So you'll notice that it has successfully created the key with RS-256, client ID, console cluster DC, rotation period is 24 hours. Yay, okay. All right, now we create a Vault role. We're creating a Vault role to allow the console client to read from Vault, correct? Is that why we're creating the role in the first place?
Yes, and so I'm not going to claim to be the Vault expert here by any means because I'm mostly in the console world, but there is an interaction between roles and entities and keys that has to do with Vault's security model to make sure that there's no arbitrary tokens that are created. There must be an entity and role to create these specific tokens.
With Vault roles, if you're not as familiar, it's going, for those who are on the stream, and it's okay if you're not as familiar with Vault, the roles effectively control how an entity accesses Vault. So we are controlling how the console client accesses Vault in this situation. We're also using a template. Is there anything special to this template?
Oh, yeah. Thanks for bringing that up. Yeah, there's some other attributes here that you'll see while we're creating this role. You'll see TTL, which we're giving anything that reads or creates objects against this. We'll have a TTL of 12 hours. And, we'll be using this to create these JWTs. So we want, by practice and by design, we want JWTs to be least permissive and also have short times to live. They shouldn't have very long times to live. 12 hours is generous in this ecosystem, but we're doing this for for the purpose of the sample here.
Okay.
You'll also see client ID, which is going to be part of the audience as it uses that to generate the cluster. You'll see that in the previous one as well. And then you'll see template, which is an attribute where it's going to write these specific values inside the JWT, and it's going to use that to authorize. Okay. It's another way of making this JWT least permissive. And in some systems, you can set this to other variables, or you can use regex. There's a lot of stuff here you can do that's fancy that makes it even least permissive.
Cool. does the host name need to change? I'm using virtual machines versus I believe the containers you were using had the host name of like console something, right? Does that need to change too?
That's a good catch. Let me double check here. So yes, our claim mappings, which we'll talk a little bit about later.
Okay.
This needs to match the node name for the claim mappings. So,
Okay. So we need it to be like this.
Need it to be, yes, exactly.
Okay. So we still need to know what the host name is for the client in order for this to be secure, correct?
Exactly. So and there's again, there's dynamic ways of doing this in AWS or other environments, that have larger scales where you can grab that dynamically and place this in here. But for the sake of example and for the sake of showing what this does, we can put it in manually at this point.
Okay. So just to make sure I understand which one's which, because knowing myself, I will likely incorrectly choose the key. I'm going to name this OIDC key API so that I'm aware of which client it is connected to.
Oh, good call.
Yeah, otherwise I won't remember key one. But key one is associated to client, so I'm just going to create a new identity for that and delete the old one. OIDC
yeah, let's get organized. I love it.
Yeah. I will forget. Okay. So it deleted it at least.
Beautiful.
Okay. And then what I'm going to do then is do this vault right identity, OIDC role API, and then all of this here will go as such, which hopefully this pastes without the
correct.
Nope.
Minus your Control C.
Yeah.
There we go.
And then there we go. Okay.
Very cool.
End quote. Okay. So double check that this is correct. No, the key is not OIDC key 1. It is OIDC key API. Oh my gosh. It does not help. The screen is big, so I can't see what's going on. Unexpected end of JSON. Did our JSON go wrong?
It looks like you're missing a bracket.
Oh, thank you.
No worries.
Okay, wait.
I think it just has to be. Yep, you got it.
I think I'm going to need to increase the pebcat counter because of it. Oh, nope.
Oh my God. Yep, put one up for me.
Okay. Okay. So let's see. One is there, and then it's unbalanced. Why does it say it's unbalanced? One moment. Let's make sure.
Let's do a little comparison foo.
Okay. So this is what I'm copying. I need this thingy. And then we're going to change everything else to API. Okay. API. I don't know what the heck that was, but I thought that was the same. Okay.
Weird.
All right.
Okay. Got it. Nice.
Oh, someone joked in chat. The pup is agreeing with the pebcax.
Oops.
Yeah, it's fine. Okay. All right. So next is the Vault policy itself. So we created the role. The role is specific to my API client, but with the role, you need to attach a policy. The Vault policy tells the service that's trying to access it what it needs to access in the first place. So let me do policy API policy.json because I don't want to mix this up with the web one. And the Vault role here, the Vault policy is saying that this policy that's being attached, they have access to retrieve stuff from identity OIDC token, so that's the JOT token, I assume, OIDC role API, and you get policy read. So.
Exactly. And so, yeah, this is a least permissive policy, so it can only read from that API.
Okay, awesome. Now, let me do this. API policy JSON. Do I want to switch this policy to like the API specific policy? Or I guess it's probably API. Let's do API. Okay. Vault policy, right. OIDC policy, API policy, JSON. Okay.
Yeah, that way we'll have one for each application, each console client.
Got it. Okay, cool. So the next step in this tutorial is enabling Vault's username password. Is there a reason why I need to use username password for it?
I am muted. So you don't necessarily have to use username and password. There are other engines you can use for this, but in order to create the JWTs, you need to have an identity behind that. So there can't just be an arbitrary entity that's creating these JWTs. It has to be assigned to some kind of entity.
Okay, so I can't just use the root password, the root
Correct.
token for Vault. Okay,
Correct. Exactly.
Darn it.
You can and you can try. It'll basically say it gives you an error, just like no entity assigned.
Okay. Well, that's, you know what? Here we are. We're doing API with the most secure password ever.
I love it.
User API with password. Okay. Vault login method, user pass, username API. We can all acknowledge that the password is available here anyway, so what's the point? Okay. So now I'm authenticated with the token. Well, now everybody sees my token, but you only see me accessing OIDC policy API. So I shouldn't be able to read anything else other than OIDC policy API, theoretically. All right, so now I'm going to issue the step that will make or break this, which is I'm going to get my JWT. I'm ready for it.
Okay.
I'm ready.
You are logged in as this entity, which has a policy that gives it permission to read this role, which will generate a JWT.
Okay. Just because I don't trust myself one bit, we're going to read it to a file. Okay. Yay! We have a JWT.
We have a JWT. We have a JWT. Beautiful. And you'll see a lot of attributes here. You'll see the client ID that we set, which will correspond to the AUD of the JWT, the JWT. You'll see the token, which is actually the content of the JWT, and the TTL.
Cool. Okay. I'm going to copy this token. We will come back to it, but for now, I'm just going to leave it there. And then now we're going to go to client API and copy into etc console.d JWT, right? Oh, okay. And I just need to paste this in here. There's nothing special that I need to do, right?
Nothing fancy. Yep, just the way it is.
Okay, so we have something that's not completely configured. And before I restart client, because right now if we restart client and do all these things, which is we proceed with the tutorial, it probably won't work. And that's because it doesn't know what this Vault server is. So what needs to go into this OIDC discovery URL as well as the bound issuer here?
So that
the console server. Yeah.
That is that's $1 million question. So basically the two values that exist here are going to be endpoints in Vault that will verify the JWT. And one of those is the main URL. So this is going to be the URL which you access the Vault API on, and one will be the issuer, the actual name itself. Okay. And so there's a few ways to find these, which we can share in the links. But I think usually in an environment, whatever you set the Vault API address to, that will be the issuer. But since we're using HCP in this case, we have to do a little kung fu to find out exactly what that issuer value is.
Oh, great. This is fantastic. Now I have to sit here and figure out what it is. Okay. So you previously sent me a link that we can use the existing identity secrets engine to retrieve the OIDC configuration, right? So in theory, I am able to access Vault. So let's hope I can get the OIDC configuration. Now, the link that I pasted in the chat is to the API docs for Vault. In most situations, you can map the API path to the CLI and retrieve the same information. However, it appears that I cannot. So we're going to have to do this. Oh, wait. It's because my Vault token's not the same, is it? Yeah. Hold on. Nope, still nothing. Okay. Well, anyway, we're going to curl. I did this before. So, cheating. Sorry, everybody. Okay. So I did this before, and you can curl and retrieve the information from Vault.
Sure.
Just because I'm not entirely confident that we didn't do something as part of this, I'm also going to add the Vault namespace because I don't know for sure if the namespace will change anything. No, the namespace didn't change anything. Okay. So, what is it? This is clear to me that this is the issuer. So I need to put this issuer into the console server's bound issuer.
Correct.
Okay.
And you may also be able to put that into the OIDC discovery URL. Okay. This is where I actually haven't done this on HCP myself. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to assume that you can put both of those here without any problem. But let's find out.
We shall see. Okay. So now that we've added these two in here, I should restart the console server first, right? I think you're on mute.
Yes, we want to restart the console server first. What that's going to do is that's going to set up the authorizer and prepare console to run that authorization portion of autoconfig.
Okay, so let me stop the console clients first. Let's just remove them. Before I do something tragic to my console server, because we all know what happened the last time. Cole and I tried to do this, and not so elegantly. We borked our server, and we had to do some outage recovery, so that was not cool. All right, Oops. So let's do console validate, because I like running the command now. But let's just see if it is able to use that OIDC issuer. And it is thinking. It's definitely thinking, which makes me wonder if it's not able to access Vault, but we'll see.
And you can just pass it the directory. You don't have to pass it the actual config file. Wow. Yeah. So nice.
I know. It's great. I'm wondering if it can even resolve to this. Let's see. Okay. Okay. So it's not happy with this for some reason.
Well, you know, we could leave that as the issuer, and we could put this getting into console.
Oh, no, wait. I think I know why. It's 8202.
8202. Interesting.
Yeah, it's 8202. Maybe I need to add a security group? One moment, please.
Yeah, and I'm going to check the Vault ports, too, because I'm not familiar with 8202.
That might be a different one. But in timeout incoming. Yeah, I know. That's why I'm like, what is going on here? IO timeout.
8202.
I mean, if the issuer, so if the discovery URL, right? If we change the discovery URL to the actual Vault endpoint and we leave the issuer, because the issuer needs to be validated, but the Vault endpoint might not matter, right?
Right. Yeah, okay. We can give that a shot.
Okay, let's give that a try, because I think the issuer will matter because it needs to know that for validation, but the discovery URL theoretically shouldn't matter. I don't know. We shall see. Also, I know we're doing the sad Vim right now.
I'm super curious about this. I know. I'm pretty pumped to see how this works.
Because the bound issuer is just saying that's the oh right. What's the endpoint for the OIDC?
Let me double check. That's going to be /v1/identity/OIDC
/v1/identity
/OIDC.
/OIDC. Okay. I'm going to assume that admin will mean the namespace. So.
Oh yeah, let's hack it.
Let me try this because I'm not entirely sure.
But there wasn't an admin in the DNS that popped up here, so.
Yeah, well, admin might be the namespace. That's why I'm a little leery of it. Okay, so that should be fine. Okay. So admin is good. That is good. We should be okay there.
All right.
Let's do console validate. Got what? Issuer did not match issuer returned by provider. Expected got that.
Expected got. Well, isn't our issuer set to that?
I guess no. I mean, the issuer is set to this, but maybe we just need to copy this and just.
Yeah, sure. Let's just try a 1-to-1.
I mean, it's not going to match the issuer, so I don't know if it will work just because it's not going to be the issuer. But the problem is that I think the other one is an internal URL, and we won't be able to access it because it's HCP Vault.
Okay.
Oh yeah, because it's did not match the issuer, so it is issuing. So the discovery URL does require this. Dang it. Huh. There has to be a way that you can set the issuer.
Wait, can you go back into your config for a second?
Yeah.
I think I saw a thing. Admin/identity. Oh, no. It looks good to me. They're both the same.
Okay. You know what? Let's try 8202 is not the worst thing. This may not work, in which case we could just divert ourselves to a local vault. I don't want to do it, but we could do it.
Yeah, hey, this sometimes is the cost of experimentation. It's a sunk cost.
Yeah. Dang it. Okay.
Let's keep trying. Let's look at the security groups. Maybe we can open 8202.
Yeah. Let's do that. Where's my security groups? Okay, I'm gonna change this. Oh no, I can't change it back. Hold on. Oh shoot. Sorry, everybody. Something's gone wrong. Okay. I'm gonna change it back to what we retrieved before, which was this one. So I'm gonna retrieve this information here. Go back into here. Otherwise, I will use a dev version of Vault, in which none of us will be happy, but it will work. It's not that hard to spin up a dev version, so theoretically we should be okay. Also, I don't know why I can't do line. I don't know why it's not selecting line. I have no idea. Something is going on with my computer. Okay. These are back. They can't connect to it, so... Eddie, this is the first time you're going to see our Terraform.
I love it.
I used a module, my own module, to allow traffic between HCP and the console servers. I'm just going to add a security group, probably a security group rule, egress, ingress. Probably add a rule.
The funny thing is, you're allowing everything out already. Like your egress is all good.
Yeah.
And so in theory, console should be able to go talk with Vault, over 8202, because unless something's blocking it on HCP,
Well, that's where it probably is blocking it on HCP, and that's where I'm a little hesitant. I do have a security. I don't think I added a security group between routing. So let me check. HCP module HCP. It shouldn't really matter. Like, it has to be on the HCP side. That's what kind of concerns me. Let's see. Maybe there's something in HCP.
Are you able to ping that address at all, or any kind of network communication to that node 01?
Yeah, let's try it. Let's try it.
Let's try it.
Because it's all outbound, so why would it be blocking it? But
Right.
And it's definitely routing to it, because I can curl to the vault address, but I just don't think this is internally resolvable. Like, it doesn't know what to do with this. That's what I think is happening. But it is resolving. Like, if you'll notice that it comes back and it says the address, but it doesn't quite allow it through for some reason.
My guess is there's some kind of abstraction here for if you wow, Friday, hello. If you spun up a multi-node vault cluster, is, there's a bunch of maybe 8202, 8203, 8204, and that all talk back to the main point, which is 8200.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too. Okay, so I wonder if there's a way that we can set the secrets engine to the issuer, and the we can force it to set the issuer or disable issue validation.
Oh, you know what? You can update that well-known configuration to manually set the issuer on Vault.
Can we do that? Where is this? Where is the right parameter?
Wow.
It's the template, right? Because we just need the template to say ISS or something, right?
No, I was even thinking just like on the HCP Vault configuration, there's an API endpoint where you can change what the issuer value is manually.
Oh, okay. Where is this? Because this is what happens.
I'm gonna find this. You know what? I'm gonna go to Slack, because I remember sending some API docs to you at some point.
Yeah.
And I'm just gonna cheat and go find whatever I sent you. Okay, here we go.
Okay. Well-known configurations. Can I update it? Read active public keys. Introspect. I see read. Generate. List. Delete. Create.
This is the one.
Okay.
Configure the identity tokens backend.
Oh, wait. Right. Okay. Oh, so post. Issuer URL. So curl, payload, all tokens must be validated against that address. Okay, so I would like to update the back end. So
Correct. And I think if you have it match what the discovered URL is,
yeah, okay,
it should be totally good. And
the
end part,
one, yeah,
the end part will be appended. So all you have to send it is just the base the base URL and the port. All the other stuff at the end will be appended to it.
Okay, so let me vault address. So I want to set it to the vault address.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then the V1 admin OIDC, which is something that we should be fine because that should resolve.
Well, you don't have to put that here, because that'll automatically be appended once you update the configuration.
Okay, got it. Okay, so let me do this then. Good idea. Okay, so then I need to curl curl.
This one's some kind of post. You're way better at the API than I am.
Post, vault token, vault namespace, and then we need data payload. Okay, V1, identity, OIDC. This is just messy. I don't know how to feel about this. But okay, this is the things we're doing. Why did I say we would do this? Remind me?
To see if it could be done, and I think you also said we'll figure it out.
Is this good or bad? Oh yeah, it's good.
This is good. This is good. So now if you run your curl to read that well-known config, let's make sure it says ta-da, ta-da.
Yay. Okay.
Yay.
Okay.
Did we break it? This is a cautious yay.
You know something, like We could, this is either good or bad. I'm not really sure. But you know what? We went through this process. We understood that the things we needed to do. Thank goodness that you have a better understanding of JOT than I do at times. Because JOTs and certificates are sometimes very much, I confuse myself a lot on those. So
yeah. Oh, there's a reason the tutorial took 2 months to put together.
Well, we appreciate your efforts, and hopefully if you do this for HCP Vault for some reason or another, at the very least now you know.
Yeah, no, now we know that this is possible. So this will probably be, on our roadmap for the next couple of quarters.
Okay, let's just check. Oh, look. Bootstrap is set to 1. Do not enable unless necessary. I guess it is necessary. But the configuration's valid.
It's valid. It's valid.
Okay, so TLDR for too long didn't watch. TLDW, too long didn't watch. You need to set the issuer configuration on Vault in HCP Vault. If you are using it, you need to set the issuer to the not publicly, but the actual resolvable endpoint on port 8200 for the Vault address. Okay, here we are. Most excellent. Now let's restart it, and it will either cry or tell us everything is fine.
I'm very curious.
Okay, so, well, this is not helpful, but whatever, everybody. Sorry. We've got some
it's active.
Here. It's active. It is active. I don't think I have access to this right now, but we'll see. Let me refresh. Please let you have not reset everything. Okay, so the good news is that it is available. That's great. Okay, I don't think it's gone down. Is there a reliable way for me to tell if it is good?
For the autoconfig
server,
info?
yeah. Mm-hmm.
The authorization. The best way that I figured out to test it is to have a client connect over.
Okay. All right. So we shouldn't have to reissue the JOT, right? Because no, we probably need to because we changed the issuer. Do we need to?
About this. Yes. Oh. Yes. We will need to reissue the JOT because one of the JOT attributes, and actually I think this is a good time, Rosemary, to take the existing JOT and bring it over to jwt.io to the decoder and analyze the JOT. This is kind of like a nice natural little intersection.
Cool. Okay. Let me pop this up. Is it jwt.io?
jwt.io. And what this is it's a public web page by the creators of JOTs in this open standard. You can basically break apart your JOT to see what it's decoded as, and you can see the different attributes of the JOT.
Oh, and this is the problem. Yeah, that's why we do have to reissue it because it's the wrong issuer.
Exactly. Yeah. And it will look at this payload once. The order of operations is the client will send this JOT and say, hey, let me connect to the autoconfig service authorizer. Your console cluster, the authorization service on there will say, hey, hold on 1 second. Let me go talk to my buddy Vault over here, who's the OIDC validation point. And your console authorizer service is gonna say, hey, Vault, is this guy like for real? And it's gonna be like, whoa, this issuer does not match my issuer. This guy doesn't seem legit. And the console server cluster is gonna go back to your client, and he's gonna say, this is not a legit guy. This is a fake issuer. Nope, denied.
Love it. All right, so now we know issuer. Everybody recognize it's not the same. So if you do change it and you issued it beforehand, please do change it. You have to reissue it. So, all right, I'm going to reissue it. I don't think I need to reconfigure any of the policy or the role. Theoretically, it should just reissue with the correct issuer. So let me check, because actually you have a good point. We could decode it and check that the issuer is indeed correct. So let's do that. Boop. All right, here we are. So that's good. That is the right issuer.
Now we have the right issuer because we changed it. We had to regenerate. Looks great. Looks great.
Okay, perfect. All right. Whew, we are meticulous today. I'm telling you. Usually it's
Wow.
not this meticulous.
Details. So
Okay.
it's a security thing. So like obviously in anything security, if the easier you make it, the easier it is to break.
Yeah. Okay. Let me double check the jot. Okay, we are good. I don't think it cares really. We didn't change anything. I don't think we left anything blank, did we? In the yeah. Okay.
I don't think so. I think I have everything there.
Yeah. Let me just double check. Console.hcl. Yeah, I think we left all these. These are good. Okay.
Server outgoing looks good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that looks good.
Okay, let's hope that port 8501 is available. But you know what? Just because I don't trust our security group to not have it.
Let's
see.
look.
8500 allow from load balancer. Server 8301 to client. 8300 to client. I'm assuming, is 8501 required for the server to communicate with the client?
Yes, because that is the connect channel, and that's the channel that we'll use. So it looks like we need to add that.
Okay. Good thing. Good thing.
Good catch.
We are just making our way through here, and hopefully console client ID allow connect HTTPS traffic from client to server. We don't need this whole description.
I'm gonna have to reach out to you when we update these tutorials here for HCP and just snag your Terraform and your config.
Yeah, you can have the Terraform. We've been building on the Terraform, and the stuff you see is pretty much it's pretty self-contained. You can just bring it up and it will, minus the ACLs currently, it's all automatically generated, and the security groups are all pretty much, we don't add them unless we absolutely need to. So that's why this is, this is there. So for those who are not as familiar with Terraform, I'm adding a security group rule, and it will allow the console client, so we'll allow console client to access the server on server allows from 85, wait.
It will allow the client to communicate over port 8501 to the server.
Okay.
So, or, you can think about it the other way too. The server will allow 8501 traffic.
Okay. Just making sure. All right. Yay. All right. Everybody now can see all my vault address and everything printed out, but I have to print it all out because I'm.
Love it.
Okay. So that should allow it now. And let's start console on the client.
Start console, question mark.
I don't know what's going to happen. I mean, it's not inherently bad. It's up. If it wasn't up, it would be very angry. So that's promising.
This is good. It's up. Did it join?
Well, the service is not happy yet. The service check is failing. But did I? Oh no, it's available now. Hey.
On your console UI?
Yeah, it's good. Okay, here we go. So that's my service. My service is good. I'll show you the console UI so at least you get the sense of what it looks like. The console UI has the service and it has the node. Good job, Eddie. We did it.
Yes. Whoa. This is actually,
wow.
This feels good on a Friday right here. I gotta say, I went into this optimistic, but I, had 50% pessimism too. So
yeah, I know. Yeah. I was a little bit. So that's good because now. So remember, I was complaining before that the ACL token was really annoying. Like you do the bootstrap and everything else. Now I'm starting to rethink this a little bit differently. In that, I could use the bootstrap and stage the clients up, but I don't need to create all of these like node identities. You'll see that I created this previous node identity, which is not being used anymore. Instead, now I have a new autoconfig token that's generated for that node, and I don't have to issue it myself. This was really painful to issue myself. I had to run the token command, pass in the node identity, etc. But I think this is a little bit cleaner in that I don't have to run that ACL generation command. I can just do this autoconfig, and magically it gets the token. Now I still need to do the service identity tokens, I assume. I can't just magically do that for autoconfig, right?
Correct. I believe that's correct. I'm not sure that that's there yet.
Yeah, I don't think I can do this, but it's not like I can automatically give it a service identity, but the node identity is autoconfig token there, which is kind of nice. So now I guess I can do this to web.
Let's do it to web. We have API working. We want to get web working.
Okay. Let me get console.d, console.hcl. We're just going to copy this because why not? Vim etc console.d, console.hcl. You can see that most of this is...
Oh, can you switch to your other screen?
Oh, yes. Yes, thank you. This is what happens when you have that. Okay, so the main things that we changed were autoconfig, which now we don't need this ACL thing. Yeah, because previously, you'll notice there's a default token here. That was because I actually manually generated it and passed it in here. It was really annoying to generate, I'm telling you. It was not my favorite thing. I prefer to automate all of it if I can, and it was just not there. Like, I couldn't. Oops.
Yeah. I feel like another annoyance that I have is the key files, like to distribute those secret key files of private and other certs, you know, you have to have a distribution method to do that.
I know, and that was so annoying.
It's a secure thing that you're moving around. So this is one less security potential problem here.
Cool. So I can take out that. I took out encrypt. I put on verify incoming false. Oops. And then I'm going to add the ports here. The ports are available. Advertise address, server, false, data directory. Everything else I think pretty much stayed the same. Yeah. So, whoopsie daisies. What is happening? Okay. All right. I think this was all we really needed. I don't think there was anything else we added. Then I need to issue the token. Right, so now we have to go through this process again.
Correct.
Okay, so I'm going to go back to the vault piece of it. And I need to write the token, but I don't want it for API anymore. I want it for the web client. And I want
exactly.
Web. Okay, so that's happy. And then we're going to get the role for web. So let me go back here. And then I needed to change the host name to the AWS node name.
Correct.
Okay, so here we are. We're going to copy that. Going to paste. Lots of copy pasting. So in this case, in automation, I still would need to know the client host names, right? Like I can't just do this. Yeah.
Now there are template attributes you can use within this engine. So there's an automation point here where you can use different, kind of like dynamically generated host names and have those put in here with a template.
Sorry.
But for the sake of simplicity, we're doing this manually to show all the manual steps.
Yeah, that's. You know what? I'm not mad at this because I feel a little bit better now. Because someone mentioned in the chat, like, does this mean we don't have to do all this like ACL copying things and like secret generation and everything else? And it is actually kind of nice because I don't have to sit here and run a CLI command just to retrieve information about the ACL tokens and stuff. So that is actually great. I don't know if there's 100% of things that we can necessarily automate away at least in our setup right now. We have a couple other weird things that we probably need to fix first. Okay. All right. Web policy. Okay. Now I need a user password, but this time we're going to use user web. And I named it OIDC policy instead of OIDC policy API. And this bothers me. Dang it. Policy Web policy. This is what happens when you just kind of go through the motion and you don't actually go through it. So I'm going to delete the old policy.
Got to customize it. You got to organize it in your world. You know, makes sense a little differently in each of our heads or organizations.
I mean, I just am, you know what? I think I might need to configure this with a Terraform provider.
That would be
like
awesome.
the Vault Terraform provider, because I don't know if I can keep track of this. This is when you have a lot of clients, for example, I just don't know how you would keep a track of this or how you would create this that easily.
Right. You know, that's where some of the automation pipeline comes in, where there's an, you know, this is the basic simple level here, but the advanced level is where you can use the API to dynamically generate some of these things, and you make a pipeline for, you know, adding a new console client where you generate this JWT token and do all the necessary steps in Vault before that. But it's different per ecosystem, per environment. Everything's going to look a little different. And so some of those are kind of unique, how you would do it in your space.
Got it. All right. So I got the jot in. Maybe what I'll do is run a console validate just to make sure that I didn't do something on web that's not supposed to. So that looks good. We're very positive right now. That's great. And then what I will need to do then is systemctl start console. Let's see. Oh, error. Something happened. How do I get all of the error? It won't let me get all the error, I assume. I'm assuming even if, yeah, I'm assuming it's not coming up. So how do I get the error? That is the question. Journal. Who remembers journal CTL?
I think it's -xe, maybe journal-xe. Oh God, is it just journal? No, it's journal CTL.
L full recursive. Okay, it's gonna look messy, but whatever. Systemctl status console. No, why?
Come on.
All quiet. I don't want it quiet. I want all of it. Short, full, verbose. -o verbose. All right. What happened here? Will this be happy? Nope, that did nothing.
Oh, I think that was showing.
Thank you, Charlie. I know someone knew it. I was like, brain is not happening today. Oh, here we go. Okay, no, never mind. I could have just scrolled. I just made a big boo-boo in that I didn't actually. I didn't scroll.
Wow. Honestly, I didn't even think about that either. What does that say about both of us?
I know. Connection timeout. So why didn't it get 8300? Huh?
Are these two in the same security groups here? Yeah, they're gonna be.
Yeah, they are. This was working fine before.
Let's take a look. Let's take a look. Maybe we put something weird in the configuration file.
Okay.
Okay. Service there. Autoconfig.
It is
JWT.
port HTTPS. Was there anything else that we didn't do? I guess.
Port 8501. True. And that file is. Can you go take a look at the JWT?
Why is this doing this today? Okay, that's the jot. Maybe I should just check the jot.
Yeah, let's do some jot checking.
Because maybe I just ran it wrong. I mean, I don't know why though. It's coming out as an error that it can't get to 8300, but everything is able to connect, which is why I'm kind of confused. No, that looks fine.
Looks good. And if you hover over expiration, on that screen, it should show an exact time that that'll expire. So that's tomorrow. So that's good.
Mm-hmm.
And host audience looks good. Host name looks good.
It can't communicate. Why is it saying it can't communicate to something? Let me see. Because we did, I mean, it does work. So then what is it that it's not communicating with? Autoconfig initial configuration, RPC failed. Permission denied? Maybe I did the config wrong, but that doesn't seem to make any sense, because this is OIDC policy web. And policy right.
Yeah, I think the JWT looks good.
It should be able to read token OIDC role web. That is fine. So the policy is fine. Let's see. Vault read identity OIDC token OIDC role. Sorry. OIDC role web. OIDC role web. Console hostname. Hostname 255.3.139.193. Okay. That's really weird. It is open too. That is why I'm confused.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting that it's not able to get the jot correctly, but maybe it's just that's very strange.
Can you also grab the other jot of our known one that's working with client API and also open that in jwt.io so we can just do a one-to-one of the values to make sure they all look good?
Yeah. Let me see. I saved the other one too. I didn't save this one. So it could very well be that I didn't issue it correctly, but can I do a one-to-one in this or no?
I usually have to open another tab with it.
Okay. Oops. Okay. Because y'all won't be able to see this on the screen. I mean, it looks the same. That's why I'm a little befuddled.
Yeah, it really does. Console cluster, console host name, and if you go to the other one, it's the same value, right, for issuer and everything?
Yeah, it's the same thing. 1 second, I'll get to it. This one, here we go. Yeah, same thing.
Same thing, yeah. Just the different host name between the two, right? We got.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know. That's very interesting. Okay, so this is what I did for. Let me see if maybe I just need to save. Let me reissue it, and then we'll see what happens.
Great, yeah. And every time you run this read against it, it'll reissue a new token.
Yeah. Okay, so let me double check. This is 255.3.193. Go back to here. 255.3.193. Okay, so that's all in there. That's good. Console.d. Jot. I mean, what I did do. Let's see. That was different than the. I don't think it matters because new lines really shouldn't matter, but whatever. Restart console. What do you think about that permission denied whining about the token above those RPC called? That's not an expected error. Yeah. So Chad is asking about the permission denied. That's why I'm a little confused why it would say permission denied, because this was a very similar workflow, but it's not validating the ID token signature, which doesn't make much sense. It's somehow not retrieving the right information about it.
But it's basically, it looks like it's making attempts at 3 different IP addresses.
Yeah, because it's the auto discovery.
Auto discovery will try anything with the tag getting started, right?
Yeah. Maybe we need to be really specific that it has to be the server? Is that what it is?
I think that's a good thing to try. I think we can just be very specific about which one the server is,
Okay. Let
but
me do
it
this.
shouldn't matter in theory. Um, Let me think about this because I feel like I did get an error like this with.
Because it only happened with the second client, right? It's not happening with the first one.
Do you? No, that wouldn't do that. Do these both have the same instance role attached, like API and web? Like, do they both have permissions to read those tags?
Yeah, they do.
Okay.
It is picking up the IP addresses of the other.
Oh, you're right.
Uh,
Yeah.
oh shoot. You know what? Well, this is the internal address. I'm not even gonna bother sitting here trying to be fancy about it anymore. It just needs to be this, right? It doesn't need to be a port or anything.
Correct. Yeah, just the address.
Okay. I mean, I'm pretty sure it shouldn't matter. It did try it anyway, and it just couldn't do it. So I'm not 100% sure if this was better or worse, but
I think it's worth a shot.
yeah, it's the same thing.
Same error. We're getting failed to validate signature.
Why would it fail
Failed
to
to
verify the signature?
ID token signature. And so there's three parts of the JWT, right? There's the header, the payload, and the signature.
But
okay. And the signature includes the two tokens, right? But it was generated by that. The issuer is that. So why would it fail signature? Okay, I have a question for you. Did this one have both of the API and web? Were those both part of the console cluster before, like on the regular method? They both used the.
yeah, they use the ACLs and everything.
Okay, gotcha. So it shouldn't matter then. Failed to verify signature. Failed to verify ID token signature. Is there anything that you can think about that's different between the networking or the machines that these are on?
No, pretty much the same. Yeah, they're the same. There's nothing different about them. They're using different instance templates, but that's about it. But the only thing is, like, they're even using the same app to a certain degree. They just have different information. They're using fake service. So there's nothing in it that I would feel like there's no different tag either. So there's server, there's web. Yeah, there's nothing that's specific to it. So that's why I'm a little confused. These are all templates that we no longer are going to use because of, hopefully because of this, but even the auto scaling group, I don't think there's anything in here that's particularly specific to it either.
Gotcha. Let's
I mean, we could reissue it and see what happens.
Yeah, maybe we did something weird in the vault piece when we were setting up the named keys and the roles and the policies. It might be worth going through that one more time. Just call it web 2 or something.
Yeah.
Web attempt 2 and see if that'll resolve it.
Yeah. Okay. So let me go back to the beginning of this. We're going to start with you know what? I'm going to source vault.env. I'm going to reset the token just so that I don't have a bad token on here. That would be probably good, I think. Vault status. Okay. So that's good. Because if I was using the other token, I would not be able to access any of this. So vault right identity. OIDC. I'm just even going to go with this named key situation. We're going to do.
Yeah, let's do it.
1. And
I'm sorry for your sense of organization.
I know, it's fine. It's whatever. When in doubt, we're going to just do this. Okay, and so then we're going to copy the template. The only thing that we will change in this template is the host name of this, which is IP10. Okay, I'm going to hit enter.
Love it.
Okay. Now, I am going to create a new policy JSON because I don't want to affect anything that I already have. So I'm just going to create that. And then vim policy JSON, path, OIDC role 1. Good. Okay. OIDC role 1 is indeed the one we are using. And then Vault policy, OIDC policy. We just want the policy.json because we have that locally. And we've uploaded that policy. Just to make sure, Vault policy read OIDC policy should have role 1.
Beautiful.
Okay. So we're going to create a new user. I'm going to just use example because why not? And then we are going to log in with the example. And password is so secure.
Password.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So then after that, I should be able to read the token, format JSON, and then I'll do a web token.json. Okay. That means I should see the new token here.
Ta-da!
Yes. Just to double
Excellent.
check. This is it. 193. I think I know why. Wait. 190. No, that's not. That was the different. That was the one before. We're good. Okay. So issued 33. Why is this issued at 33?
Are you looking at...
wrong one. Okay. Yeah, 42. Oh, sorry about that. Browser. Here we go. Okay. Then this one. Yeah. So this is it. This looks good. Should be right.
Yep. That's when it was issued. Expiration's tomorrow.
Okay. So we've got that. Cat web API. I want API dot token. Sorry, token dot JSON. I'm going to copy this one. We're going to do this. Etsy console.d cons jot. Okay. Systemctl console validate. I'm just going to do that first because I'm pretty sure it's fine. Pretty sure it's also fine. Okay. And then
Configuration is valid. Good.
Start console. Let's see. What did it do? Let's systemctl status console. No. If Rosemary can type today. What the?
Whoa. Permission denied. Permission denied. Ah, I know exactly what's going on. I don't know why it took me 2 iterations of getting beat on the head, but sometimes it does.
Okay.
Okay, so let's head on over to our server.
Okay.
And take a look at the authorizer on the server.
Okay.
So hop on into our server config.
Okay.
And let's take a look at console host name equals node name, value equals node name. Okay, yeah, I want to talk about a few of these for a second, and we can run some checks on here to figure out what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, the claim mappings and claims assertion sections on here are ways of looking into the JOTs and determining what values you're going to match against. Okay. It's another layer of introspection that verifies that this JOT is for this node.
Okay.
Okay, so the claim assertion section, what this is saying here, and there's more information on the tutorial and in the doc site, is this saying that whatever console the console agent on this node deems is the name of this node, set it as the value of node underscore name. And so console, when a console agent is run on a node, it has an idea of what the node name is, and it sets that. And most of the time, it's like 9 out of 10 times, it's the host name of the actual server. So I think what we should check here is we need to take a look on the console agent. There's a command we can run on the website, and we can take a look to make sure that this sees the host name as IP 10255.
Okay, so let's do that. Oops.
Where is that endpoint? Console.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it would name it the same exact. Like, I don't know why it wouldn't name it that way, though.
Yeah, it absolutely should.
So strange.
Here is the curl commands for that.
Okay. Where is this? Ah, okay. I found it.
Zoom world.
I got it. Okay. Cool. All right.
Here, I'll paste the command itself.
Ah, v1 agent host. Okay, cool. Will I still be able to do it?
Down.
8500. It's not 8500. Where is this? I think it's not up, right? So then.
That's right. Yeah. My goodness. Doing a little troubleshooting here.
Pretty sure that it would still be the same.
Yeah, I think you're right. This one is an interesting thing. And what was the error message one more time? I want to search Chrome, and I want to search my chat my chat history too. Let's see.
Why would it
failed to verify signature? Failed to verify ID token signature. Signature. Ba, ba, da, ba.
I mean, it could. Console etcd. That. I'm trying to think if there was anything that we missed. Data directory, HTTPS, verify incoming. Because this is weird. Why it? Something about it is not picking up the jot, maybe? Dev agents.
Dev agents, yeah. Can you... All right, so it showed the issuer, right? Like the issuer is correct. It didn't change. I was thinking like maybe the issuer reverted back to node or something. I don't think so, because you looked at the JWT itself.
Yeah. It seems to be fine. You know what I will do is I am going to copy this one.
All right, here you have a client address, bind address.
Okay, there we go. All right. Too bad I can't PB copy because I don't think I have that utility with special this. Okay.
Oh, your IP address.
Yeah.
Your advertise needs to change.
I'm gonna update that. Okay. So then console.hcl etsy console.d/console.hcl. let's hope that that is the right one. See console.d, set console.hcl. Okay, so same config. What was this one? Do we remember what this was?
156.
No, 156 was the previous one. Hold on.
Oh, oops.
193.
193.
193. Yeah.
We're hacking with this, Rosemary. We're gonna get to this.
I know. We gotta get to the bottom of this. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, no, frankly, I don't either.
I'm a little confused as to like why one would work and why the other one wouldn't work.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, I'm gonna reissue this just because, for the sake of.
Let's do it.
Echo this to etc console.d/jot. Cat etc console.d/jot. Systemctl. It wouldn't get upset if I remove the data directory, right?
The data directory? No, I don't think so.
Because we could check the node ID. Oh no, it doesn't matter. Whatever. Okay. Let me remove. It might hate me, but that's fine. We're going to just do this.
Yeah, should recreate.
Nope. I don't think it started. Oh. Failed with something. Okay. I hate how this is such a very, very sad command. Okay. Well, now
A dirty troubleshooting session?
Why does it say connection refused? Where is it that is connection refused?
Connection
it can't.
refused.
It has the same exact. I don't understand. Maybe we do have some discrepancy, but it doesn't make any sense. Okay, that apparently does not help it. I don't know why. Well, we got one working. We're coming up on time. So the good news is we got one working. The other one, I don't know. It could very well be a Terraform concern where we've added a security group somewhere and it's not open. But on the other hand, everything is in here. So like even clients, console client security group. Where's the console client? Console client, console client. Sorry, it's a bit of a mess in here. Console client, console server, console server, console server, console client. Console client. Maybe I need to add 8300 to. It's bi-directionally allowed, right?
Yeah. With TCP, as long as the server allows that 8300 traffic in, we'll establish the channel.
Right. That's why I'm very confused why this is there. Well, anyway, we did get one working, which was really nice.
We got one working, and we're unsure exactly what about the environment is causing this second one to not work right now. And my guess, it's something very silly.
But that's the thing. We've literally gone through and we've examined the configs. I've even copied the configs over. Unless I missed something that I'm supposed to configure.
Well, yeah, this wasn't a failure to verify. You know, it was something with the signature aspect of it on this side.
Yeah. The other one works fine.
This is a new one. Yeah, you know, I'd love it if you could if you would like copy that error message.
Yeah. Of course.
And then I can just dive into that later, and I can see like spin up the environment and figure out what's going on here, because this is a unique one. I didn't even see one like this pop up. You know, during the 2 months of creating this tutorial and working with engineering. This is a new one for us.
Okay, well then, if I can even copy it. I don't think I can even copy it right now. Hold on. There we go. Even if I unset auto discovery, it still wasn't right. So I don't know what was going on here.
Yeah, something to do with just an inability to. So it's going to the authorizer is what it feels like. You know, it's like actually able to hit that on the console server, and then once it's there at the authorizer, and it could be something with the authorizer where there's an issue, or it could be between the authorizer and Vault.
Yeah.
An issue there. So I'll dive in and get to the bottom of that, figure out what's going on.
Well, in the meantime, I appreciate you coming here and teaching me all about autoconfig. I mean, I know we got one working real well, and the other one I don't know what's going on with. I can't say that it was something specific to it. It could be something with our environment. Maybe there's something with the security group. I'm looking right now just to double check if there's something that maybe we enabled. It's console client, API, target ARN. So they're all in there, but I can't think of anything in particular, but maybe, you know what? Let's go to AWS. Just one last thing, because we are coming up on time.
Sure.
And I do want to make sure that we all enjoy our Fridays. There's one way we can check. What is this security group? Where is it? Us. Where? Yeah.
Could be.
Yeah, it's a console client, and
Yeah.
and it's inbounds 85 90 90, outbound all traffic. So it's added. I mean, I don't know unless it's an 8300 inbound that needs to happen, but the only thing is that it's just not able to authenticate outbound, right? That's the.
Yeah, like the and you're not really getting failure to connect on that port. You're getting something back that has to do with autoconfig, like specifically.
Yeah.
You know, so you're able to get through to the authorizer. It's something coming back from autoconfig on that RPC channel that's having some issues. So there's something noodle about there. You could look at this server security group, and I think you have 8300 and 8501 there. So I don't think that's a problem at all.
No, I don't think there's anything there that. Let me just double check. There's nothing there that I could think of, but maybe it didn't quite add it. I mean, it does have 8300 inbound and 8501 and 8301 in both situations. So this is server,
yeah, you're set there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So we got a few unique things here. We got that second one causing some problems. I am really happy that we went through doing this on HCP.
Yeah, me too.
Today. I think that's awesome. Just having to change the issue, or it just adds one little step, in there. So that's really exciting.
Yeah. No, thank you so much for going through this. I appreciate it. It was super helpful. I'm glad I learned it. I'm not 100% sure what happened, but we're gonna go back and we're gonna check out what's going on. Maybe we'll be back for the next one, and we'll explain a little bit about it. Eddie, if you find some reason as to why it's not doing it, I'm sure it's probably something ridiculous. But yeah, I feel like we checked the JOTs, we checked everything, and it was fine. I have no idea anymore.
I mean, there was 2 times last week, after a 3-hour troubleshooting session where, we're shaking our heads. And then 10 minutes after the call, I'm on a walk with the dog. And I was like, oh, and it was just like a private subnet, a public subnet, just kind of like mix up between the two.
Oh, no.
It just wasn't until I got up and stopped looking at it that my brain clicked. So
yeah. All right. Well, for those who are tuning in and who stuck with us for this long, we appreciate you going through this with us and going through autoconfig. We got one working. The other one, if you have the solution, we'd like to hear about it. We'll be back in a couple of weeks, first week of November. Next week is HashiConf, so we'll be a little bit busy. But you can always go to the conference registration page and hang out for some sessions. They're really great. With that, I'm going to close out. We appreciate all of you joining, and we hope to see you on the next Getting Into Console.
Thanks, guys.